When you think of France, the first thing that comes to mind often is food. There are hundreds of cheeses, sophisticated dishes, incredible wines.
But the cherry on top of French gastronomy, the pièce de résistance, if you will, are all the delicious desserts it has to offer.
France is a pastry lover's paradise. Just around every corner, there's a shop filled with incredible cakes or croissants.
Where does this sweet savoir-faire come from? Well, all the answers in this French Connections Plus. When it comes to pastries, the French are world champions. Literally, France won the 2024 edition of the Pastry World Cup.
France's love of desserts goes back centuries. In fact, the very first mention of pastry makers in France dates back to the Middle Ages.
And over the years, French pastry makers have really honed their craft, turning it into an art form. On top of being delicious, French pastries are beautiful and sophisticated.
Here you won't find thick, heavy cakes with fat frosting like you might in the United States. French pastry is all about being refined and delicate.
And when you're talking about sweet treats, it's really important to distinguish between les pâtisseries, pastries, and les viennoiseries, which is a name for things like a croissant or a pain au chocolat.
So as the name suggests, viennoiseries originally started in Vienna. So how come they're so associated with France? The answer is all about history.
You can't get more French than the croissant. It's an emblem of France's gastronomy around the world. And yet, legend has it, it was invented in Vienna back in 1683. Bakers created the delicacy to commemorate the victory of the Austrian army over the Ottomans following the siege of Vienna. The crescent shape is thought to be a reference to the Ottoman flag.
Ils vont prendre le symbole de l'armée ennemie, puis ils vont essayer aussi de, parce que cette forme en forme de croissant, bien sûr, ça va leur faire penser aux petites cornes, hornchen, que l'on fait comme ça aux gens que l'on a vaincus.
The croissant was an immediate success in Austria. Among its fans, the future Queen Marie-Antoinette, who's credited with bringing it to France. French bakers arguably perfected the recipe by adding a lot of butter, which is a key ingredient in other so-called viennoiseries, such as pain au raisin and pain au chocolat, which are facing a battle of their own, this time linguistic. Depending on where you come from geographically, the delicious chocolate-filled pastry is either called a pain au chocolat, a chocolatine, or more rarely, a croissant au chocolat or a petit pain au chocolat. Pain au chocolat versus chocolatine, the debate is fierce, especially in the Southwest, chocolatine territory.
Bonjour, je voudrais 2 pains au chocolat, s'il vous plaît. 2 pains au chocolat? Non, ici, ce sont des chocolatines, madame.
Ici, c'est la chocolatine, non?
Moi, chocolatine. Chocolatine. Sud-Ouest.
C'est à Paris qu'on dit pain au chocolat.
Ça sonne comme une petite cloche. Chocolatine. Pain au chocolat, c'est franchement beaucoup plus triste.
One thing everyone can agree on is the superior savoir-faire of French bakers, who have exported their viennoiseries and pastries around the globe.
When it comes to sweet treats, the French mean business, and it's a really big one. Pastries, viennoiseries, and other bakery goods add up to 11 billion euros a year.
3 out of 4 French people say they indulge in pastries, often for special occasions or guilty pleasures, or those days when you need a treat, like when I shoot a show with you, Genie.
The most pastries bought by French people are actually fruit tarts, things like raspberry tarts or a strawberry delicacy known as a fraisier.
Next come the monuments of French desserts, which often have wild and wonderful backstories. Here's a closer look.
Some iconic French desserts have colorful names. For instance, the opéra, a coffee and almond confection topped with dark chocolate icing and gold leaf. Legend has it, it was named by the wife of the baker who invented it because she thought it looked like the beautiful Opéra Garnier in central Paris. A religieuse is made up of 2 cream-filled buns that look like a round nun with a small habit around her shoulders. Religious sisters also inspired, in a less elegant way, the paix de nun, or nun's farts, which is similar to a donut hole. Other famous French pastries include the éclair, or lightning. The name came either because the mostly coffee or chocolate cream-filled puff pastry is topped with a shiny frosting resembling lightning, or because it's so good it's eaten in a flash. Puff or choux pastry dates back to the 17th century and is found in many creations like chouquette that make up the traditional French wedding cake, the croque-en-bouche. There's also millefeuille, or thousand layers, but don't call it by its American name Napoleon, as you'll just get confused looks from bakers. The Paris-Brest is a wheel-shaped puff pastry filled with praline cream. It owes its name to a 19th century bicycle race between the French capital and Brittany. Meanwhile, the Madeleine, a simpler classic, gained literary fame thanks to Marcel Proust's Remembrance of Things Past, where a bite of the popular sponge cake brought childhood memories flooding back for the book's main character. But perhaps for bakers themselves, their favorite pastry is the one named after the 6th century bishop who became their patron saint, an airy delight known as a Saint-Honoré. When it comes to famous bakers today, there's one name that sticks out: Pierre Hermé. He's famous for his luxurious creations with unexpected flavors like olive oil or popcorn. And we're lucky enough to be with him today in the kitchen where the magic happens.
Bonjour, Pierre.
Bonjour.
You are a pastry pioneer who was even named the best pastry chef in the world. What's the secret to French pastry? What makes it so special?
I don't know exactly the secret, but French pastry is based on tradition, on culture and innovation. That gives the power to go forward and to create and to be innovative.
Bakers come from around the world to train in France. What's so special about French pastry technique?
Mostly of the work is based on the taste, because it's the most important. When you see pastry, you buy first with the eyes, but after what is important is how it tasted and what gives you pleasure. And taste gives you the pleasure and gives you the envy to do it again, to buy it again, to eat it again.
So you are perhaps most famous for the macaron. What is a macaron exactly, and how is it different from a macaroon?
When we mention macaron, we think about something was made with coconut, no?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the difference. It's our macarons are made with, it's a biscuit first, made with almond sugar and egg white. Simple. That's a long tradition, probably coming from Italy. And the macaron you have in front of us, it's another type of macaron because it's the same biscuit we speak before, but there is a filling inside. And in this filling, we can express a lot of taste, texture, and a combination of taste.
Are macarons complicated to make? I mean, can you make them at home?
Yes. I would say yes, because if you follow the recipe, you will succeed. But sometimes people say, I made your recipe, but I changed a little bit, but okay. If you want to succeed, you have to make it first by following the recipe. The macaron we did today, it's macaron jardin en Bourgogne.
Burgundy garden.
Yes, because Burgundy is very famous for the wine, you know, and also for the blackcurrant. First is doing the biscuit. That means making a meringue with part of the sugar and pour the cooked sugar on top of the whipped eggs and let cool a little bit and mix with the other part of sugar, other part of egg white and almonds. You pipe the biscuit and after you put the little flour one by one on the macaron.
And that's a real flour?
It's a real dried flour. And after the ganache is cream, white chocolate and blackcurrant pepper. Boil the cream with the blackcurrant pepper. And after the pour on 3 times and mix and let cool it. Simple.
Easy.
Easy.
And the blackcurrant jam, the blackcurrant in the middle, it's blackcurrant, sugar, and a little bit of red currant also, to lower a little bit the bitterness of the blackcurrant.
Il faut appuyer la coque jusqu'à ce que la ganache vienne jusqu'au bord.
Can we taste it?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's go.
Let's go.
I'd love one. Merci.
Merci
Yeah.
beaucoup. They're so pretty.
I know, I love the
They're
flower.
so cute.
Allez, bon appétit.
Bon appétit. Ooh.
Oh,
The inside is
Jam.
jam.
half and half.
It's like an explosion of flavor.
First you have the taste of the black pepper,
Yeah.
and after you have the acidity and the fruitiness of the jam.
Merci beaucoup, c'est très très bon.
Thank you.
It's really good.
Really good.
Now, I'm no Pierre Hermé, but I do like to bake.
And what's your favorite dessert, Genie?
Well, I can't make it, but there's one that I love to get, which is called a tarte au citron meringue. So this is a lemon tart with meringue on top that actually was created in the United States. How about you?
Well, actually, Genie, I'm not a sweet tooth. I prefer savory things, but I do love the backstory behind a lot of these desserts. For instance, the tarte tatin, which is an upside-down apple pie. Well, apparently it was the Tatin sisters who invented it because one of them actually forgot to put the dough in while baking the cake, put it in at the last minute, served it up, and it was an instant hit.
There are so many pastries that are born out of mistakes here in France. Another one is the baba au rhum. Now, the story here is that there was a French pastry chef who worked for a Polish king in the 18th century. He brought him a brioche from Paris, but by the time it got there, it was stale. So he dumped a bunch of alcohol on top, and the rest, as they say, is history.
And apparently the king was reading Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves, hence the name of the dessert, baba au rhum.
There are so many great stories about France and the French. If you have any questions about any of them, you can always reach out to us on social media or tweet Flo at Villeminot.
And we'll see you soon for another episode of French Connections Plus.